No matter what news channels we open nowadays, the one thing which is definitely going on in these news channels is the issue of Taliban and Afghanistan and the hasty withdrawal of the US troops from Afghanistan. But then what according to you should have been done? I mean, for a country which has been spending almost $2 trillion on a war which almost seems like a never-ending war, and plus when they are going about losing their troops, and after spending 20 years, the important question was that could Taliban have ever been avoided in Afghanistan? Well, that is a question we shall be exploring in this episode today, and welcome to another episode of Intlokyo. If you are new to this channel, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and also keep watching. So where did this group Taliban come from? I mean, the one thing which always comes to our mind whenever we hear the word Taliban is the oppression of women. I mean, like women not being allowed to go to schools, women will having to wear this full veil thing and all that. But then apart from that, like what exactly is Taliban? What exactly is this group? Well, for that we need to go a bit back in history. Our story starts a couple of years, basically a couple of centuries back, when Afghanistan, which has a long history of domination by foreign conquerors and strifes, was this land being conquered by Darius I of Babylonia around 500 BC and Alexander the Great of Macedonia in 329 BC. Well, Mahmud of Ghazni in the 11th century was a conqueror who created an empire from Iran to India and is considered one of the greatest of Afghanistan's conquerors. It was then that Genghis Khan took over the territory in the 13th century. But it wasn't until the 1700s that the area was united as a single country. By 1870, after the area had been invaded by various Arab conquerors, Islam had taken root. During the 19th century, Britain, looking to protect its Indian Empire from Russia, attempted to annex Afghanistan, resulting in a series of British-Afghan wars. But in 1921, the British, which had been beleaguered in the wake of World War I, were defeated in the Third British-Afghan War, and Afghanistan becomes an independent nation. Concerned that Afghanistan had fallen behind the rest of the world, Amir Amanullah Khan begins a rigorous campaign of socio-economic reform. In 1926, Amanullah declares Afghanistan a monarchy rather than an emirate and proclaims himself as a king. Critics, frustrated by Amanullah's policies, take up arms in 1928, and by 1929 the king abdicates and leaves the country. Then, in 1933, Zahir Shah becomes the new king. The new king brings a semblance of stability to the country, and he becomes the ruler of the country for the next 40 years. In 1934, the United States of America formally recognizes Afghanistan. In 1953, the pro-Soviet General Mohammad Daoud Khan becomes the Prime Minister, and in 1956, Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev agrees to help Afghanistan, and the two countries become close allies. In 1957, as part of Daoud's reforms, women were allowed to attend the university and enter the workforce. Basically quite different from what we are seeing today. In 1965, the Afghan Communist Party secretly forms. The group's principal leaders are Babrak Karmal and Noor Mohammad Taraki. In 1978, Khan is killed in a communist coup. Noor Mohammad Taraki, one of the founding members of the Afghan Communist Party, takes control of the country as president, and Babrak Karmal is named as the deputy prime minister. They proclaim independence from the Soviet influence and declare their policies to be based on Islamic principles, Afghan nationalism, and socio-economic justice. In 1979, the American ambassador Adolph Dubs is killed. The United States cuts off assistance to Afghanistan, and it is then that the Soviet Union or USSR invades Afghanistan on December 24th to bolster the faltering communist regime. In September 1988, Osama bin Laden and 15 other Islamists formed the group Al-Qaeda, or the base to continue the jihad or holy war against the Soviets and others who oppose their goal of a pure nation governed by Islam. In the year 1995, newly formed Islamic militia, the Taliban, rises to power on promises of peace. Most Afghans, exhausted by years of drought, famine and war, approve of the Taliban for upholding the traditional Islamic values. The Taliban outlaw cultivation of poppies for the opium trade, crack down on crime, and curtail the education and employment of women. Women are required to be fully veiled and are not allowed outside alone. Islamic law is enforced via public executions and amputations. The United States refuses to recognize the authority of the Taliban. Then happens the unthinkable. On September 11, 2001, hijackers commandeer 4 commercial airplanes and crash them into the World Trade Center towers in New York, the Pentagon outside Washington, D.C., and a Pennsylvania field, killing thousands. Days later, US officials say bin Laden, the Saudi exile believed to be hiding in Afghanistan, is the prime suspect in the attack. A month later, on October 7, 2001, following unanswered demands that the Taliban turn over bin Laden, US and British forces launch airstrikes against targets in Afghanistan. American warplanes start to bomb Taliban targets and bases reportedly belonging to the Al-Qaeda network. The Taliban proclaim that they are ready for jihad. November 13, 2001. After weeks of intense fighting with Taliban troops, the Northern Alliance enters Kabul. The retreating Taliban flee southward towards Kandahar. On December 7, 2001, the Taliban fighters abandon their final stronghold in Kandahar. 2 days later, the Taliban leaders surrender the group's final Afghan territory, the province of Zabul. In October 2004, finally, presidential elections are held in Afghanistan. More than 10.5 million Afghans register to vote and choose among 18 presidential candidates, including interim leader Hamid Karzai. Karzai is elected with 55% of the vote. In the year 2007, the Afghan government and NATO confirmed that Taliban commander Mullah Dadullah was killed during a US-led operation in southern Afghanistan. In 2011, US forces overtake a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan and kill Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden on May 2nd. In May 2014, Obama announces timetable for significantly reducing the US troop sizes in Afghanistan by 2016. In September 2014, Ashraf Ghani becomes the new president of Afghanistan in September after 2 rounds of voting. April 2021, Biden announces aim to complete US troop withdrawal by 9/11. On August 10, 2021, White House says Taliban takeover is not inevitable following the US's speedy withdrawal from the country.
Because you have the Afghan troops have 300,000 well equipped as any army in the world, and an air force against something like 75,000 Taliban.
But on August 15, 2021, the Afghanistan government collapses as Taliban takes over Kabul. August 22, 2021, 2 suicide bombings occur outside the Kabul airport as thousands of Afghans try to flee the country following Taliban's takeover. The bombings killed at least 169 Afghans and 13 US troops. The extremist group ISIS-K, the affiliate of the terror group ISIS, which uses the K to reference an old name for Afghanistan, Khorasan, claimed responsibility for the explosions. So this was basically a brief history of the issue, making itself to all the news headlines for the past 1 month all over the world. But the pertinent question coming to our minds is that why did US make this decision of leaving Afghanistan? Indeed, the decision to leave made initially by Trump and ratified by Biden remains strategically sound. So what went so disastrously wrong that it will surely haunt Americans and their President Joe Biden in the years to come? Well, in October 6, 2001, President Bush had issued an ultimatum to the Taliban: shut down Al-Qaeda's base of operations, close their training facilities, and hand over Osama bin Laden. The Taliban refused. The US launched Operation Enduring Freedom in response to 9/11 with a goal to eliminate a clear and present danger to the homeland and to punish those responsible for the worst attack on American soil since Pearl Harbor. But as it turns out, the original mission was the only achievable mission. As soon as the adversary ceased to be an existential threat to the homeland, the public lost stomach for the war. The Taliban were always going to take over as soon as the US pulled out, whether today, in 1 year, or in 5. If 20 years and $2 trillion couldn't buy self-sustaining stability, no amount of additional time would. The status quo was not sustainable. Ever since Trump reduced troop levels from about 13,000 to 2,500, Afghan security forces had been rapidly losing territory and lives to an emboldened and stronger than ever Taliban. But the moment it was clear that the US presence had an expiration date, which was the overwhelming preference of the American public, the outcome was inevitable. It was a matter of when, not if. Had the US reneged on its promise to withdraw, the Taliban would have intensified its campaign against American military personnel. The decision before the president was not between staying and leaving. It was between expanding the military footprint and leaving. The only alternative to withdrawal, committing more troops and money, had no political buy-in. So this was our synopsis on the raging Afghanistan issue. The issue has not yet been solved, and we still do not know whether America and the West will ever recognize this new Afghanistan. What about our very own India? Well, that is a question for the future. Till then, enjoy some of our other videos like the China versus the Hong Kong war, or whether the Rafale deal was a scam. And as always, thank you for watching.